Absolutely, it's Shazam Poof calling out, asking if Numbers Committee is watching. He says, I'm too good, I have a hat trick, you can't stop me. Let's see, he's still down by a goal.
That's a bold move. Let's see how it plays out.
You're gonna transition into it.
Jamie with the long ball. That's going to be off the backboard. The Devil and the goalie. Enigma with the goal. That's going to be the dagger for sure. 20.
Over to Viglio from Judgmental. Viglio gets the first touch, can't get the second. Judgmental puts it into no man's land. Canadian Things there now with a lot of boost to work with. Air dribble towards that. Canadian Things with the game winner.
Ray waiting for it. Ball out in no man's land. Gets up. Gets the extra touch. Throws it through. Oh my gosh. Trey with the LOB, putting in work like that's his JOB, and I cannot believe that is a one-man wrecking ball.
Watch out, Beck's really proven to be a game changer in this best of 7 here. A shot maybe coming down from Nautical, not able to read that touch from DQ though, and Og trying to get another touch. DQ dumps it down. Don't forget, this is match point.
Welcome back to yet another great week of the Pre-Jump podcast, your affiliate, or your official affiliate RSC podcast, your location for RSC news, debates, and discussion. On the desk tonight, you've got myself joining us as our returning host here. We've got Mr. T-San and Mr. Robert7977, who Hannon has clearly defined as not a GM, even though he is running the Cosmos here. And joining us on the desk tonight for the first time ever, our guest, Mr. Irish himself from the franchise The Garden.
Yo,
Irish,
what's up?
why don't you my bad. Irish, why don't you tell our podcast people, our pre-jumpers, a little bit about yourself here?
Yeah, I joined RSC when I saw a Reddit post, and I thought, dang, I have insanely free Mondays and Wednesdays, so I decided, hey, why don't I join this league? So I joined, and the franchise I've been with the longest is The Garden. I got traded there in season 14 in Contender, and then Dirk was my GM, and then now I was AGMing for Dirk for a while, and then now there's been a bit of a management change, and I survived the management change. I did not get fired. Thankfully, Nick M kept me on the job. So yeah, that's me. I'm on our vet team now. I am filling up our Gatorades. I'm definitely not seeing the field that much, but that's all right. I am perfectly all right being in a support position, hyping up the team. So yeah, that's quick intro.
And that, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is kind of weird, right? Like, normally when there's a change of GM, you typically have new AGMs. So, like, you surviving is kind of a testament, right? You being a good AGM and all that.
Let me tell you, man, I was losing sleep when I saw Dirk step down, and I thought Nick was going to give me the chop, but thankfully he kept me on. And yeah, we've been rolling ever since. We're a top 3 franchise this season, alongside Roberts, of course.
Weird flex. It's only like 4 match days in, but all right.
Yeah, obviously no big deal. But yeah.
Hey, fair enough. Well, that kind of gets us in here. I will say, for our viewers at home, we do have an incredible announcement for next week at the back end of this podcast, so please stay tuned. It is game-changing for sure, but let's go ahead and get into our first segment here, where we kind of recap how the season's breaking down. Like we did say, it's a little early. It's only after match day 4. We still have 3/4 of the season left, but we've got our top 10 standings here. So we're going to start off with AMI. Get this pulled up here. So in AMI, our top 10 is as follows. Number 1, you've got Team Brass for the franchise medal. They're currently in first place with 12 wins and 4 losses. Cathilla from the Mythos in second place with 11 and 5. Surprise from the Elements at 10 and 6. Elastic from Energy at 8 and 8. Number 4. Rollers from the Quad Dynasty tied for 4th place as well at 8 and 8. House Salad, plural there, from 50/50 Pizzeria, currently in 6th place at 5 and 11. Faye from Jaconum, tied for 6th place as well at 5 and 11. And Sacrifice from Destined, in 6th place, tied at 5 and 11. And I'm going to be honest with you, We obviously don't have a 9th and 10th team, but I would like to believe that the pre-jump podcast would probably be somewhere in the 9th or 10th place for our AMI results, right? I feel like we could probably come in 9th place for AMI.
I will say AMI is very lucky that the Garden franchise, with Nick being a new GM, does not have an AMI team. We are a quite the powerhouse. Always make playoffs, so they got off lucky this season.
This guy, 5 minutes in, he's already flexed his franchise twice. And
Hey,
he
man, that's
yes,
one-
he just got here.
Confidence is
That's
key.
one way to rep it.
Confidence is key.
I do want to point out one thing. I've always thought it was kind of funny that the Elements AMI team was the element of surprise. Fantastic name.
I never even noticed that.
I wouldn't be that smart to
that's
come up
funny.
with that. I simply would not be.
With that attitude,
I would also like to
Not
say
with
if
that
there's
attitude.
anyone I trust to play an amateur and who would really understand that gameplay, it would be Nick and Irish.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Rotate. Moving on to contender here. We'll get our top 10 for contender going. They actually have more than 10 teams, so we get to actually talk about 10 teams here. In first place with a 13-3 record, we've got Dagon from the Mythos. Tied for second place, we've got Ionic, 11-5 from Energy. Scooters also tied for second place at 11-5. They're from the Quad Dynasty here. Samurai are in fourth place, undisputed, at 10-6 from the Sovereign. Drakes are tied for fifth place at 8-8 from Draconum. Hippie Haunters are 8-8 from Ghoul School. Then we've got Devoured tied for seventh at 7-9 from Destined. We've got Ice tied for seventh as well at 7-9 from The Elements. And we've got Cheese Pizza tied for seventh at 7-9 from 50/50 Pizzeria. Finishing out our top 10th place here, a little bit of a tongue twister. We've got Toothpaste, who are 5-11 from Minty Fresh.
Yeah, can we talk about how top-heavy contenders looking right now?
There is no parity. It is literally like three guys at the top, and everybody else is fighting for survival.
Yeah, it's tough towards the second half of that standings. I wouldn't want to be in that mix. I mean, my rival team definitely is, but we don't got to talk about that.
You know what? If there's a
Okay.
top-heavy division or tier, that means just some GMs drafted better than others. I mean, everyone had the same pool of players.
Oh, shots fired.
This is true.
Shots fired already.
I like the spice that he's bringing to today's episode, man. This is going to be
He-
really exciting.
He doesn't even hold him
having
back.
a lot of fun.
Well, keeping things rolling here, let's move on to Prospect.
Oh, who we giving prospect? I'm taking prospect. I'll take it. It's all right. All right. For
Wow,
prospect, we got Gemini from the Nexus. They're sitting at the top, 11-5, and then a four-way tie for second place. Excuse me. Spaghetti Scouts at 10-6. Whiskey Business at 10-6. We have I can't even
Do it.
pronounce that.
Butcher the pronunciation of that cheese right now on stream.
Monster Misfits at
Well
10
played.
and 6.
Oh, dang, he
And
said it
Dark Matter at 10 and 6. That is a lot of teams at the top fighting for just a few spots. I wouldn't want to be stuck in there. But continuing, in sixth, we got a three-way tie now. Pulse from Energy at 9-7. Fruit Salad at 9-7 from Metal. Barbarians from the Sovereign at 9-7. And then we can only pick one team for 10th. But we got Tic Tacs at 8-8. But I mean, that is, look at how close that entire tier is. Like, my goodness.
Right, and like you were saying, this tier is extremely close. I mean, first place Gemini are 11-5. The worst team in the tier are 5-11. It's only a 6-game spread, really, so that's not that far.
And that's only one team at top and bottom. If you take second to 20th in that tier, you have a whopping 4-game difference, right? So that means on any one match day, any team could swap spots with another from top to bottom on any day, and that's a crazy amount of
That's
parity
insane.
to have.
Absolutely
Yeah.
crazy.
It's insane.
Guys, I have some deep insight as your guest. You're not going to get from anyone else.
Oh,
You
all
know,
right.
Okay.
after hearing that list, I'm thinking Spaghetti Scott's going to come out on top just because of their name. I like the name the most.
Mm.
That's all I got to say.
I
That's smart.
really like the Munster Misfits because it almost caused T-Sant to have an absolute blooper within our first couple months of broadcasting here.
Poor guy.
I'm all about it.
As a Wisconsinite, cheese is my specialty. So, doxed myself to all the viewers.
Midwest represent. They're all going to find you now,
Absolutely.
Roberts.
Absolutely, they know my state.
All right, so,
He's
fellas,
saying
what
you're
do you say we move on to Chally now? Why don't we?
For sure.
Why don't we? Why don't we?
So, Chally, not as tightly contested as Prospect, but it's still pretty close. Sitting up at the top, we got Fusion from Energy. They're 13-3, but tied with them, Squalls from Storm, also 13-3. Third place, all by themselves, Zombies, 12-4. And then, fourth through eighth, 11-5 teams, all of them. We got Leo, Void, Griffins, Breadsticks, and Strawberries. So there is a lot of fighting for those top positions from those teams. And rounding out the top 10, a couple of 10-6 teams right there. Jack-o'-lanterns and tarantulas. You know, I said that wasn't as tight as Prospect, but I mean, kind of is.
This is looking to be pretty sweaty.
It's the Jack-o'-lanterns. It's not the Jack-o'-lanterns.
You know, we're not gonna talk about that, all right?
We'll get them next time. We'll get them next time.
But you even said it. You said the Jack-o'-lanterns in ninth.
I was reading quickly. The sunglasses, you know, they make everything dark. I'm just trying to look cool, guys. I'm sorry.
Sounds like a biased
All
AGM.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I would never.
Goodness gracious.
So who's your guys' favorite team name there?
Shall
I really like Strawberries. Unironically, I know it's your
The
franchise.
Garden brand, of course.
Of course.
That's
But
exactly-
listen,
Mm.
it's quick. It's to the point. I just got 2 cartons yesterday. Done
Mhm.
with one of them already, man.
Great nutritional
It-
value.
It is hard to beat a strawberry in really any level of anything. So I would have to say strawberries
Rob,
are probably.
you are spitting strawberries. Truly, tier 1 elite fruit. Nothing is better.
I
Strawberries are the best,
personally,
and I will die
the
on that.
best name is the Void, in my personal opinion, because that's where my happiness currently resides.
Fair enough. Mine
You
resides in
don't say you have
strawberries.
a void where your heart is, but that works too.
Oh,
You betcha.
cool.
We moving on to Rival. Am I taking that one too? Because Rival's got some
Dude,
crazy teams at the top.
take it away, T-San.
Well, Rival, our first flawless team of the season so far, Hammerheads from Shark Attack. They are, and I'm saying this correctly, 16-0. They have swept every match.
That's ridiculous.
That is insane.
Sorry, I am looking at my computer. Things are not going well. Second place, 14-2, Wind from the Elements. Third place, Fangtooths, 13-3. You know, they were 15-1 last season. Looks like the Fangtooths GM knows how to draft. Fourth place, Polaris, the Cosmos. Shout out Rob. Fifth place,
let 'em know.
12-4, Tort Reform. Not gonna butcher that one. Sixth place, Dalmatians, 12-4. Seventh, Carrots. Shout out Irish, 11-5. Seventh, Lou Katu, 10-6. Eighth, Worm, 10-6. Ninth, Polar Ice. I'm saying my numbers wrong. They're 10th, 10-6. Guys, I gotta go. I can't be here. I'm messing everything up.
He's dipping already. What a shocker.
Nice to have you this week.
He did
man.
that earlier when his power went out in week 4. He just left the podcast midstream.
I have no idea what you're
Audacity.
talking about. I wasn't here that week. Definitely wasn't.
Yeah, dude, those Hammerheads undefeated, pretty crazy. But we can go more into that later. I was looking up some of their stats last night.
Yeah,
We
we
can have
will
some
definitely
interesting
yeah.
get
discussions.
more into that later. Stick around. You'll see that
Foreshadowing.
bottom. We'll be
That's
deep
why
diving
everyone
on
needs to
that.
stick around because we'll have some great content with a rival deep dive later, and that
Oh,
so that's why you need to stay tuned into the stream.
Whoa. They can't see that on the format that it says rival in big letters though.
It was
so-
on Boz's announcement, Rob.
Awesome. Cool.
well,
I'm
since
looking forward to it.
T-Sant stole prospect from me, I'm going to go ahead and steal veteran back before we hand it off to Rob with the top three. Starting us off here with the number one team in vet at 14-2, we've got Cthulhu from the Mythos. And in second place at 13-3, we've got the Dobermans from Puppy Paradise. In third place at 12-4, we've got the Gouda Gangsters from the Cheese Guild. Tied for third as well at 12-4, we've got Possessed from Destined. At fifth place at 11-5, we've got the Sea Devils from the Abyss. At 11-5 as well, tied for fifth, we've got Lightning from Electric Mayhem. And rounding out our three-way tie for fifth place at 11-5, we've got Peppers from the Garden. Tied for eighth place at 10-6, we've got the Merciless Mob from the Syndicate, the greatest franchise in RSC for sure.
Vouch.
100% at tied for eighth as well at 10-6. We've got the Calzones from 50/50 Pizzeria, and rounding out our 10th place, tied for eighth, we've got 10-6 Singularity from Event Horizon here. And just a quick call out for this tier. I do remember seeing, I believe, the top three people from Possessed are all still above 80 SPV.
Yeah, that's insane. That's not
That is
quite on the
insane.
level of like the 16-0 type thing, but in terms of just individual numbers that they're all putting up on a field, it's just a pure statistical anomaly. So it's gonna be crazy to see how that plays out. Even their fourth has like a 70 or so, which is unreal.
Basically, just to put it super succinctly, they're cray cray.
Thank you.
It's not translating to wins though, because they're 12-4, right? Like, yeah, that's a great winning percentage, but you would think with three guys being an 80, you would almost expect a 16-0.
You got me thinking that maybe some of those numbers that they're putting up, maybe that's a 6-4 win, 7-3, putting up a lot of stats. Not necessarily saying that they're empty, right? But potentially there's a more efficient gameplay for them that may lead to less numbers, but 12-4 is a great record.
There's
yeah.
a much more simpler way to analyze this. Rivals just better than veteran. It is what it is.
That is true. That is
Hey,
true.
T-Sant, you can screw my team next week, big dog.
All right, let's go. Let's do
Hey,
it.
and guys,
Holy-
just a quick call out in vet. A big piece of our team's success is definitely me being on the field. I have 2 games played, 0% win rate. One of the games
Yeah.
I perfectly passed at mid, and then I own gold another game. So
Nice.
obviously, they definitely want to see me on the field more. But thankfully, my captain keeps sitting me. Plot twist: I'm the captain. So yeah.
That was a smart captain, if you ask me, man.
Yeah, sometimes I get mad at him, but you know what? If you're own going and passing mid, maybe you're just not up to snuff for the tier quite yet.
They might be putting the best group of 3 out there every game but 2.
Yeah,
It sounds like.
Definitely, Nick M and Little Windex, other parts of the management team have been helping me out with replay reviews. So hopefully I'll turn around at some point. But right now, definitely just helping out the other 3 guys.
That tier doesn't want to see Irish on the field. They don't want to see you. They're scared.
Oh yeah.
They're scared.
Moving on to our breakdown of Elite. Leading the way, we have our Great Whites, members of the Shark Attack franchise, at a 15-1 record. So also crazy success going on there. You have your Ghastly Goombas of the Syndicate.
Yeah.
14-2. I hear they're extremely overrated at that record.
Wow.
Wow.
All right.
Wow, Rob.
Sheesh.
You
You got your sloths at 13-3 from the jungle, Azathoth tied with Geeky Ghouls at 12-4 from the Mythos and Ghoul School, respectively. Vibranium and Widows tied at 11-5, playing for the Metal and Eight-Legged Freaks franchises. And we have the Wendigos from the Forest, the Thunder from Electric Mayhem, Summoned from Destined at 9-7. An honorable mention at 11, you have my team, the Quasars, also 9-7.
You
Now, I
know,
feel like I
speaking,
remember preseason that Rob was saying his team was better than Boss's, but I may just be
I just
misremembering. I don't know.
They may have
no,
had
he
starters for
definitely
most of
may
their
have said
games.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know that. Our team
Mhm.
was not as good as his team, and I distinctly remember him saying our third best player on my team was not very good, and he
That's
should just learn and grow. And when we scrimmed against them, I distinctly remember a clapping. I'm just saying.
I would just like to say a couple things in response. One, that Boss Radala has an SPV of 46.2.
What's my IDR,
Um,
fam? It's
we can move
68.37.
forward. Let's move forward. I'm better in both. That's all we need to know.
Mm.
Hey,
Team
well, you know
standings
what? We'll
for
see in
Master.
playoffs.
Oh, I would love to see him in
You know,
playoffs, man.
hey, listen,
Oh, I would
talk
Drop the
love to
cheap.
first round
curb
bye
stomp
at that
Rob.
point.
Hey,
Irish, I would. That's a free win.
hey, listen, talk's cheap, but we'll see who wins in playoffs for you and
We
Bob.
will. We will. We will. I'm excited. That'll be a
Okay,
fun
okay.
episode when it's after Elite Playoffs.
Yeah,
I'm
when
gonna be
our
so
players
happy.
get swept. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Moving on to Master. We got the Cheese Guild leading the way at 13-3, tied for first with the Whale Defense, or with the Blues from the Whale Defense, and Feta Forgers from the Cheese Guild. My apologies. Those are the franchises. You have Blackout from Electric Mayhem at 12-4. Stampede from Ox Gaming. Shout out Bex at 11-5. Oblivion 10-6 from Event Horizon. Basilisk 9-7, tied with Orion from the Forest and the Nexus, respectively. And oh goodness, Glacier Mint at 8-8 from Minty Fresh. The Heinous Henchman at 7-9, and wrapping us off is going to be the Spectres at 6-10. So one thing that's popping to me there is that there are almost no teams with the same record, right? You go from 13-3, 12-4, 11-5, 10-6, 9-7. So it's a really interesting landscape there in Master for sure.
For sure. And there are four teams tied to that 6-7 mark, 6 and
Mhm.
10 mark too, towards the bottom. So it's kind of wild, honestly, the how the tier stacks out right now.
There's usually not quite that much parity in these smaller tiers, so it's really interesting to see that so many teams are one match day from flipping the script entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And moving on to our last and maybe least, probably not, tier, we have Premier. Leading the way, you have your Hurricanes from Storm at 13-3, which certainly is no easy feat in the best tier in RSC. That is extremely impressive.
I see they just put Jat on IR. I wonder what the internal workings with that were.
Ooh, I did not see that. That should be fascinating to watch. Jat,
Rob,
shout out Jat. He cut me my first RSC season. Love that dude. Ah,
Smart
nice.
decision.
Okay. Moving forward, we have the Fairies, second at 12-4, member of the Forest. We have Beck from Ox Gaming at 10-6, so a 2-game gap between second and third there. We have the Orcas at 9-7 from the Whale Defense, Megalodons at 9-7 from the Shark Attack. That's a fun little battle you got there for 9-7 between the Orcas and Megalodons. I think Megalodon would probably win that. You got the Reapers and Interstellar at 8-8 from the Monster Mash and Event Horizon. Chargers at 7-9 from Electric Mayhem. The Capybaras from the Jungle at 6-10. And rounding off the top 10, you have your Crooked Capos. Capos. Mm? Mm? You guys are the AGMs. How do you say that one?
you're the
I wanna hear
GM,
you
man.
say it.
I'm just gonna listen to what you say, man. I'm just the
Yeah.
assistant.
That's
I want to
fine.
hear you
I
say
love
it, T-Sant. I want to hear you pronounce this.
Crooked capos. Come on now.
Capos.
I hope that's it. I don't know.
Oppo.
I don't even. I don't even know
Oppo.
Capo. Capo.
They gave me the AGM spot as like,
More
you know,
like just a couple of wins at 5-11.
wow.
Well,
That
you
was
know,
unnecessary.
that
Dude,
was a low blow.
I apologize.
That's
Rob's
crazy.
wordsmithing and making fun of people at the same time. So
What I do
Yeah,
best, man.
I guess that was why he's GM.
I, they don't just let anybody do it, so
Yeah.
gotta be something.
Oh my goodness. Well, that rounds out our quarterly report here where we talk about all 9 tiers, your top 10 teams for each tier. Kind of gives you a good guesstimate as to who's really going to do well in the season, who's going to make the playoffs. Obviously, it's a little early, but I think I think it's about time for us to move into our little second shorter segment, our exclusive 8 clips of the week.
Dude,
I think I need therapy or just some more whiskey. I can't seem to understand how you do this to me. You've been running in circles.
Yes.
Okay, so I am a master player. Thank you very much. I'm pretty good at this game. I was just talking randomly into
I think I need to confess. Saw you in that red dress. I can't seem to understand how you got all that finesse. Still been running in circles inside my head. Wasn't looking for love, but baby, I found you instead. I didn't know I was a casualty until you stopped my heart and you made me see I need love. I need love. I didn't know I was a casualty, but when you're gone, can't find no remedy. I need your therapy, therapy, therapy. I need your therapy, therapy, therapy. I didn't know I was a casualty until you stopped my heart.
You know, and those are your 8 clips for your exclusive 8 clips of the week. As always, you will be able to vote in your Twitch chat right there. Just do !vote and then the number of the clip you would like to vote for. Once this ends here, once this voting line ends, I think last week we did it for 30 minutes. 30 minutes is how long we ran the vote for. That should be about good amount. 20 minutes. I'm hearing from our production man, it's 20 minutes. So that should be about enough. It'll let you know kind of who you think will win, and we'll get to announce that towards the end of the stream here. I do just want to call out, I had a really great time editing the video this week to dip the audio down so you can hear Snack Time calling out, I am a master player, I am goated, and then having that soundtrack come back in was just real solid. Had a great time with that. Oh man. That was solid. That was really solid. I
yeah,
love it.
I love seeing those cracked Rock League clips. We all sit here for way too much time in our chairs, clicking around on our PC to look cool in virtual cars. So it's great to see, when people succeed in their hobbies.
When they
I
actually look cool
Now
in
me
their cars.
myself, I don't really hit any clips, which is part of the reason why I'm benched. But that's beside the point.
I've never hit a clip in my life. Maybe one day though. Maybe one day.
Hey, I saw you in the RSC2 leagues, T-Sant. Come on, don't sell yourself short.
Had like a 30 SPV or something like that, or IDR.
Hey, listen,
Wasn't
man,
great.
no need to go into the details.
I will say, Irish, that is kind of why we made the pre-jump to start with, was it gave RSC members a place to really feel some sort of recognition. And I feel like we've really come a long way in that facet, especially with the exclusive 8 clips of the week, letting people like Justice playing the greatest game mode ever made,
Yeah.
Rumble. Fantastic clip here, clip number 8.
I was in that lobby.
Dude,
I was playing Rumble with
Rumble's
him.
tough. I grinded out like 70 Rumble games in one weekend to get GC, and then I did not to get the RNG title, and I never played it again, and I will not play it again until the next season.
No, dude, Rumble's where I'm
Oh,
grinding. That's why I'm
Boz,
still
you and I
C3 and
played
3s.
together for that weekend. You played with me for
Yeah,
a
we
few games.
did.
Yeah,
Bro, you have no idea. I peaked in Rumble. I got up to like GC3 Div 1.
dude. No big
Wow.
deal. No big deal.
I mean, if there was a drop shot clip in there, then we could really get talking about it. But
I love drop
Oh,
shot.
best game mode doesn't always get the recognition.
Chad,
Bro, I'm
someone get us a
freaking
drop
hungry.
shot clip for next week, please. Just
I
one.
I
Or
played drop
8.
shot
Yeah,
for
I'm
like
fine with 8.
I
One drop
unironically
shot clip.
played drop shot for like 35 minutes today, 40 minutes, and
Let's
that mode's
go.
great. That mode taught me how to
G-Stamp.
aerial when I first started playing. Yeah, so everyone should play drop shot to improve your
Mhm.
shadow defense and your aerials. I mean, come on, what more could you ask for in a game mode?
Exactly.
Esan, if I get only drop shot clips from next week because of your statement there, I am going to be so excited.
Let's make
I
it
hope
happen.
so. Guys, just drop shot clips, please.
Just drop shot clips.
Yeah, drop
Unless you're
shot
like
helps you work on the
unless,
fundamentals.
Exactly.
unless you're hitting another pogo into a flip reset. I think that was a couple weeks ago. That was nuts.
Would
But
be more impressive in a drop shot lobby.
you know, that would be insane.
Pogo reset a drop shot goal? Nuts.
Easily number one.
Fake
Easily.
prem player until he does that.
Moving into our first major deep dive of the night, we're going to go ahead and talk about Prospect. So we do have a small little graphic here that our production team has whipped up for us. It looks pretty solid. This is just kind of a breakdown for your pole position team. You've got Gemini that are 11-5, like we talked about earlier. In your main scorer for the tier, you've got Biscuit King 18 with 19 goals. Then you've got Blind Beast with 14 assists and Lust Lizard with 29 saves. Just kind of gives you a breakdown for what we're looking at stats-wise. But we're going to get into the fun debate section here as we kind of throw out our names for MVP talks.
Cool. Well, I can get us kicked off. We're talking about the Gemini, and the player leading the way for them is going to be Beanie92. That's who I would probably pick as my solar MVP right now. There's a couple names in Lunar that we can get to in a minute that'll could give him a run for his money. But Beanie is 5-3, only played 8 games so far. He's second in goals per game, fifth in assists per game, third in points per game. So he's putting up numbers everywhere he goes. And I actually asked him a couple questions regarding this.
Okay.
So little two question interview coming from Beanie, and I asked him, what does he think has led him to have so much success this season, right? Just starting us off. And he says that one of the main things that has allowed him to have so much success is having a general manager who listens and lets him make decisions that they believe will make the team better. Really kind of allows the team to run as a unit and go from there. And that they have been blessed with teammates that they connect well with in comms, both on the field and off the field, and that translates into their gameplay really well. Boss, you
Beanie's
got
an
something to say about
AGM,
that?
isn't he?
I believe so. Yeah,
He is an AGM.
Yeah, because Beanie was AGM, I believe, of season 16 for the bakery for quite a bit there. I remember he was one of the people that I originally talked to before I signed with the bakery. Really stand up dude, really cool dude. I really like him, and I hate to do it to him, but he's not my MVP pick.
But hey,
Not
he recently hit C3 in twos, by the way. Newsflash. No
Shout
big
out
deal.
that guy.
Yeah.
solid, but
Better than
he's
me.
only played
I'm not
8
that
games. How is your MVP only 8 games in, man? That's why the real MVP for Prospect, for sure, Chad GPT. Easily killing it out there for the Sovereign from Barbarians. 17 goals, 13 assists, 22 saves. Quite frankly, one of the only few people from the Sovereign really above, I believe it was like 55. I think his next best player is Shadow CO81 with a pretty
The
solid
53.
53.2. Yeah, but he, quite frankly, Chad GPT is the main reason why they're 9-7.
Is your MVP 9-7, boss? Is your
Is
MVP
your
one game
and
above 500? Is that what we're
your
talking about right now?
MVP didn't even play for the team for 8 games, and
Now,
they still won.
Oh, my T-San, you wanna chime in before we get
I
into
mean,
this? GD?
how about we bring up someone who has played all 16 games, not just half the season so far, and is a leading prospect in goals scored, Biscuit King, who the SPV not looking too shabby either. I believe it was a 73. Let me double check that
yeah, the
really quick for you.
73 SPV isn't too shabby. Like,
73.8.
what's
Well,
a
it's a
good
lot better than I've
SPV?
ever done. But 10 and 16, 73 SPV, leading prospect in goals. What more do you want? That's your MVP right there.
Is it really? Because his next best player, Blind Beast, is feeding him constantly. I mean, that's your best assister, 14 assists. Is your MVP really getting handed every goal in a silver platter, or is he, putting in the work himself?
At the end of the day, you got to be the one to hit the shots on target around the defense and get them in the net. And you win games by scoring goals at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I
That's
think
all. You score more goals than the other team, you win. It's that simple.
you also win games by being a great captain and a great AGM. So one thing that Beanie also talked a
Yeah,
lot
5
about
and 3.
was he only played 8 games because he wants to give his whole team a chance, right? And first of all, they're first in the league. So he's clearly correct in doing so. And he's putting together a core in a different way than these other teams, right? This team has 4 players who can contribute to winning at a higher level than anyone else in the tier, and he's
Rob,
utilizing that.
Rob. We're talking about MVP, not best captain or AGM here. We're talking
Most
about best
valuable
player.
player.
I
If you can
He
provide
is
value, if you can
no.
provide
He
value,
is
what do
5
you
and
mean?
3. They're 6 and 2 without him.
And he
They're
is
not. He's
second
not
in,
a better
second in the
player.
entire tier in goals per game and 5th in assists per game. He is
Hey,
creating at a
listen.
higher level than anyone else in the tier.
Oz, I will say, find me another captain that scores 600 points in a scrim and has 85 SPV and says, you know what? Puts his ego aside,
Yep.
puts the team first, and says, you know what? You guys were clicking those last 3 games. As the captain, I think, puts his ego aside, puts the team first, and says, hey, what's working best? I would be shocked if you found another captain with that high of SPV that just thought to
But
themselves, you know what? This team's clicking, so I'm gonna let him click, and I'm gonna be the hype man on the sidelines. I think there's the
this
internal
isn't.
structure, the hype man, being able to be flexible as the captain while also producing highly while he's there. I think when you put all of that together, it creates a pretty good case for MVP, not only with his on-the-field
No,
performance.
But if the team is
no. If
clicking
you
that well with you being on the bench, how are you MVP?
Because
And
he's
you
the
want to talk
captain.
no,
about
He's
Because
the
they have
one
such
putting
good
any
himself there. He's the
any
one starting the
MVP
players to
that
be
you
11 and
take.
5.
No. This isn't the best coach captain. This isn't the best player captain. This is the most valuable player. This is the best person on the pitch. And Beanie may be the best captain or the best AGM in the league right now for his team because, I mean, obviously he is. It's 11 and 5, so that reflects his decision making as a front office. But as a player, if you can take somebody out of a system and they still perform, he's not
better,
really the
perform better.
MVP perform better actually. He's not really the most valuable player. He's probably the most valuable coach, but he's not the most valuable player.
But
And
when he is on the field, he has the highest stats and
Yes,
highest
thank you.
SPV in the
He has
entire
the
tier.
highest stats in the game. So you're talking about you want someone who can perform on the field.
3 and
He's
5.
performing. He's 5 and 3. He is performing
Sorry, 5 and 3.
at a higher level than anyone else, statistically speaking. Right? So that's pretty cool. Third in overall
5 and
points
3.
per game, if you want to make that argument. And the other thing is he understands the situation that he's in to a larger extent. Right? If you can go out there and you can win some regular season games, that's cool. What we're learning about Beanie in this team, the Gemini right now, is that they have the intangibles, right? They have the parts, that's the stuff that makes the really good team the great team because you can construct different lineups, you can work differently, and he is the mastermind in charge of those lineups, right? So
Right, but
he's
that's
building this
the
team that's
best
11 and 5.
GM. That's the best coach. That's not the most valuable player,
LeBron
man.
should get
It
credit for capitalizing on
Okay, not
using
talking
his
basketball
players
here.
the
We're
right way.
talking
It's the same
RSC.
thing.
Do you think that if he played himself the other 8 games, they would have also gone 6 and 2?
Yes.
even though he went 5-3 on the pitch.
Yes, I did not look at exactly who he played, but I would be.
Oh, so this
There
is
is
like the
there
right
is
play.
there is a
There
you
it
cannot
is.
you cannot convince me that the player who has the highest SPV in the entire tier would not be someone that you would not be a better alternative, right? So maybe we're talking about
Only
that
8
6 and
games.
2
We don't know how
being
he
an
would have
8-0.
played.
Then if you're talking about putting up stats, what are these 8 games that we're talking about, right? You can't both argue for the importance of the stats and then say it's only 8 games.
No, but I can talk about the guy who's only 6 or 7 SPV behind, who's played all 16 games, who's putting up just about the same numbers, but
He
has
has a
shown
worse
through all
win rate
16.
than Beanie. Beanie is 5-3.
Mm,
Your guy is
mm,
9-7, right?
mm.
That's so. If
My
you want to talk
guy,
about,
but no.
yeah,
This is where you're. Hold on. My guy, yes, is 9-7, played all 16 games. Your guy is on such a good team that they're 6-2 without him. If you take my guy off of his 9-7 team, is he still going to? Is that team still going to be 9-7? No.
what is 9-7 good for in prospect right now?
Boz,
Uh,
That is
will
good
see
for
I will
a
say though,
6th or
Boz.
worse seed. 9 and
I
7
will
is
say
good for
though,
6 or worse.
Boz, when you're looking at some of these players, I've had the privilege, the just the honor and privilege to view some of the replays, and you just got to give it to a guy who understands the fundamentals. Listen, I've watched a lot of Tim Duncan outlet pass highlight reels on YouTube with with music of smooth jazz in the background. I watch those
Okay.
before every match night, because I'm just a guy who, fundamentals. You don't need flip resets. You don't need nothing. You should be in the right spots, make the right passes, be a good team player. So I would say Beanie plays a lot like Tim Duncan in Rocket League.
Mm,
Just makes good plays,
mm.
good outlet passes, gets the team involved, doesn't do anything fancy schmancy, and just gets the job done and puts his head down.
Nice.
I just
Nice.
want I want
You
to
know,
bring up, Rob brought this up earlier, made it seem like a big deal, how Gemini did the first seed 11-5. There are 4 teams that are 1 game behind them. So yeah, they're sure they're the first seed by a game. There are 4 teams that are 10-6.
I'm listening to Boss's criteria. If you
They're
want to talk about who wins the most, it's him.
they're
If you
1
want to talk
bad
about
night from being out of the playoffs.
and any it's early, right? Every team is one bad night or one good night from being something else. But the fact of the
Sure.
matter is this guy is the best player on the best team, putting up the best stats. Like it's in every conventional league, that guy wins your MVP. And Kawhi Leonard, right? He doesn't have to play every night. Everyone knows he's the best player on the court. It's saying that because he's enabling his team to play well in the regular season and getting them to gel and have chemistry and win together, you want to use that as a knock against the guy, and then when he
Well,
does play,
Now,
he has better
Here's
record than
here's
either
another
of your
argument.
candidates.
You gotta hit
60% of games played.
that's a good argument, T-San. I agree. You got it. Yeah.
You tell him, Irish.
Yo, T-San, you said your MVP was Biscuit King.
yes.
What's the 401 with Biscuit King? Fill me in.
10-6, leading goal scorer. You have a 73 SPV. I mean, what more do you want?
So
Like,
he
you gotta
just
you
gets
gotta
the job
score
done.
to win games. And he's played every game so far. They've played every game so far. I don't know if it's he or she. We don't want to mix that up. They've played every game so far. And again, to hit awards, whether it be in any sports league or RSC, you got to hit a games played threshold. If you're sitting yourself for half the season, you're not eligible to win awards. You got to be on the field.
what isn't it 39? Is it 39 or 40, right?
It's depends on the tier because prospect plays fewer games. It's 60% of whatever their schedule is.
But I'm also wondering if any of these players are load managing their wrists to try and be ready for playoffs.
True. Carpal tunnel management is a big thing.
Is
early
that
in
what
the season.
Beanie's doing here? Is he
I don't
pulling
know.
a
I'm
LeBron
just
and
throwing the
load
idea out
management
there
for the
as
season?
just a vague idea.
As someone with a wrist injury right now, definitely, load management's all right sometimes. It is not easy to play Rocket League like this sometimes, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
My wrist kills me.
That's
I gotta
crazy.
go on IR or something. I
Hey,
don't know, but
by the
skin won't
way,
let me.
Public service announcement: everyone should do wrist exercises and stretches every day. They help a lot.
All right.
And they'll
I can
increase your
tell it's
longevity in Rocket League.
I can tell we're ready to talk about the dark horse teams for prospect. I think we're ready to move on to that here. So, Irish, I want to know who you have as your dark horse team. Who do you think is going to rebound the hardest?
In vet?
In
No,
prospect.
prospect,
What?
Oh my
prospect. Well,
God,
where's this
dude.
guy at?
Man, look, man got lost.
Fly me to the moon.
Listen, Boz, that's why I'm a guest, not a full-time member. All right, little mix-ups like that. Dark horse in prospect. I will have to think on that for 1 second because I'm gonna look up some players. But circle back to me, Boz.
If you want, I'm going to throw out the team Pyrasta from Draconum. They're currently fourth in their division at 7-9. The other two teams directly ahead of them are 8-8. So it's a very doable comeback. You know what I mean? Like their division's not entirely out of blown out of the water. They're not too far back. They're only also 2 games back from a playoff spot. So I mean, realistically, they're probably the closest by far.
I would
Yeah,
have
and I will
to.
say,
Okay,
Draconum has that. Promo Simbri. He used to be on. The Garden, but I was on Draconum, so maybe he
He
could.
was, and then he got traded. Did he get traded
He got
to
traded
Minty
mini fresh. Yeah, for
Yeah,
future
got paired up
picks.
with got traded for Raichu, I believe a third in Elite and a fourth in Vet. And I feel like that's right. But he got paired up with a number 1 SPV for that tier, and then
Yeah.
believe did not do super well in the
All I'll
semifinals.
say is thank you, Dav, for giving the Garden future draft picks. We appreciate the trade for sure.
Oh
Oh,
god.
my personal dark horse is the Bokrug from the Mythos. Number one, you can
Okay.
always trust a Tech 4 team, right? Everyone
100%.
knows this. Number two, they're 8-8, but they are led by a player named Soul, who's a contender promo, who's actually 8-3 with this team. They have a 61 SPV, and they were, like I said, in contender last season. My team had to go through them in playoffs, and Soul was really, really impressive.
Ooh.
They are 8-4 since match day 1, and 8-3 with this guy, right? So it makes you think that they're getting hot right now, right? After starting 0-5, an 8-3 record's kind of crazy. So they are definitely someone to watch as the match days pass on.
For sure. For sure.
Well,
Mr. T-Sant, what do you got
I was
here?
gonna say one name we haven't mentioned from Fruit Salad, Iro. They are a 9-7 team. Let me make sure I have that record correct. Yep, 9-7, and Iro has right now the third best SPV in prospect, but the two people above Iro have played half the games. So you take that into consideration.
What kind of dark horse prediction is a team that's currently third in their conference?
Okay, look, there's a lot of teams at the top there, okay?
Oh yeah, the
I'd
team that's
say
going to
that's fair.
rebound
I mean,
super
third
hard
place
is the
is
team
some-
that's already in the winning
They're one game
position.
above 500. That's it.
Oh, really? So was Boz's MVP.
Ooh.
Oh,
Wait, what?
Nothing.
Or they're
Don't
two
worry
games
about it.
above 500, but
No,
you
what
get
did
what
I
I mean.
what did I just hear?
They're
Your
9-7.
MVP is 9-7 too, just as you're talking about how bad. You don't have to.
No, but it's not a Okay, I joined a team that was 4-12, and we finished 33-31. So I don't want to hear nothing about we didn't rebound because we rebounded hard. I'm talking about the fact that he's predicting a 9-7 team's going to be slightly better in conference standings.
Yeah, Boz, those were some sweaty games, by the way. We played you in Rival.
Oh, 100%, man.
Yeah.
I've
this
been
guy would
told
just
they were predicted to win their conference by G Tuck U. So maybe they're not a dark horse. Who knows?
Yeah, they.
Hmm.
I actually own. Oh, last season my contender team was made up of a player on Beanie's team, Iro, and another player. So we had to build a new roster a little bit for some reasons, but if we had been able to run that roster back, then people would have been prospect would have been done for. It might already be, dark matter. Just got to give my own team a shout out. They got 3 guys above a 60 SPV. People need to be worried about them. We've had one of our starters not be able to make a couple of the games. Keep an eye out for them as they come for you.
All right, all right. Do we get a dark horse prediction from Irish yet?
I'll double it and pass it to the next person.
Wow.
We've already. Oh God.
You know what? I'm just gonna throw one out. Barbarians from the Sovereign.
Okay. Okay.
Because Chad GPT has a 76 SPV.
That's my guy.
So maybe if Yachty and those other guys can pick it up and build around him, because he's one of the highest SPV players, so maybe they could come back swinging if they figured out some of the details.
That's true. That's
Okay.
crazy that your dark horse is Boss's MVP. Most
Mhm.
MVPs don't show up in dark horse discussions. Is all I'm saying.
Most MVPs also have a better record when they're on the court than when they're not on the court for their team.
All
That's
right,
just
all
me.
right. Before we re-get this conversation going here, let's go ahead and before we jump into RSC Trivia hosted by Mr. Rob himself, we're going to go ahead and give you your exclusive aid clip of the week winner. Drum roll here. We've got the master player, Mr. Snack Time.
No.
Dude, he had to have paid someone off to win that.
man. Snack Time, you have my Venmo. You know exactly how much to send it to me. There you go. Thank you, thank you.
I can't believe you guys let Snack win another one of these. I think that's his second.
It's not even the play was decent. Don't get me wrong. Like the redirect was
But it was
solid.
pretty nuts.
It's
it's pretty
it's
nuts.
literally the vocals of him going, "I am a master player."
I got to witness that live. It was nuts in real time. Let me tell you.
He hit that.
I'll give it
He
that.
hit that on rivals. He hit that on rival players.
Hey, look, Rival's better than Veteran, so it's kind of impressive.
That's true.
Oh man.
Good comms.
What is it?
Good comms.
Is it better than Elite?
I mean, you're in the lead, and so is Rob.
Any
so
other
Rob won.
season, I'd say yeah.
That's crazy. I don't remember losing to T-Cent in a 1v1. I distinctly remember clapping him bad enough.
If you have proof of
Okay.
that, I'd love to see it.
But now they
I
they
have.
don't-
I
they
have
let
the
the
same
rival
spot.
players play in elite now. So
But let's go ahead. Congratulate Mr. Snack Time. You're going to get that all-exclusive 8 Clip of the Week winner perk in the Discord, which means absolutely nothing. But, you know.
Snack
Congratulations.
better put that on his resume and CV for when he applies to his next job, and his LinkedIn under the
I
award
would.
section.
And
He
his
needs to blast
LinkedIn.
that award that he won it through all the airwaves, AM, FM, Sirius XM. He needs to let everyone know. Elite 8 or exclusive 8 clip winner.
exactly.
There we go. I made his name purple. I got that taken care of already. Look at me actually doing work. The
Great call out by our producer.
they can't hear a producer, so I'm just gonna say what our producer said. Hannon passed that to Snack Time. Yeah, Irish. That's the one thing we should have explained. People can't hear Hannon, but we can.
Listen,
So
I'm
we
the
gotta
guest.
let him know.
I'm just messing things up. I'm
Hey,
a
no,
pure
man.
Bora
Great
spending
content.
I'm spending Memorial Day in Bora Bora, as you can see from my background. So I'm just not the most focused. So my bad, team.
Hey, fair enough. But let's go ahead, Rob. I know you've been really excited for this week, as obviously you have your trivia questions lined up here. Why don't you go ahead and get us started?
Alrighty. First question of Rob's RSC trivia will be. So in Rival, we're going to have 2 of the 3 players. So we're about to do our deep dive in Rival. 2 of the 3 players in all of RSC who have 20 goals and 20 assists so far this season. Who is the one player not in Rival who has 20 goals and 20 assists?
Not in Rival?
Someone tier breaking.
Probably.
Well, I mean, I'm already gone.
20 goals and 20 assists.
Mm-hmm.
We
We
That
talked
normally doesn't
about their
happen that
team
often.
earlier on the podcast. Very briefly, albeit.
That's not okay. very briefly. Is it the only teams we really threw out here were like
Oh,
possessed?
possessed? Someone on possessed, maybe?
AOS
That's the
Arctic.
only like
AOS
That's
Arctic.
the
AOS
I
Arctic. I was gonna say AOS Arctic or Rec.
AOS Arctic and Rec, I
Or
guess.
Rec, or it was an or statement.
We're gonna need some official answers here.
You know,
I've
T-Stan
given
said
mine.
Arctic, so
All right.
I'll say Rec just for competition's sake.
Boss, you got a final?
I'm going with the last year's MVP of Rival. I'm going with Rec.
It is indeed Rec.
Dude,
22 goals or assists, 22 assists on the season.
I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of a 50-50 shot after Irish named off both names.
Yeah. Well, so there's the first one. Next one is, so this player has 22 assists, the Rec, right? Do you know how many goals this player also has?
26.
He said it has to be at least 20, so 24?
25 goals.
You were right the first time at 26.
Oh, yes, I was just looking at the
And
ball
so
chasing stats last time.
both of these stats I wanted to, yeah.
You're not giving T-San a chance to answer here.
Yes, you're right.
I wouldn't have gotten it correct. I would. Not.
He already got it correct.
Listen,
yeah.
Sometimes
All right.
But so I just wanted to bring that up because while there's a couple things that we can go to off this, there were 3 players to double promo from Rival to Elite, right? And Raccoon won MVP in Rival and he stayed in Veteran. So that's an interesting point. And I wanted to
Bring him to
highlight,
Elite.
yes, essentially, highlight this 26 goals, 22 assists through 15 games. Because that's nuts. Right?
No,
That's
actually,
almost
I have less goals and assists. Send me back down to Vet. I would like to be in Vet now.
yeah.
I would like to be in Chally, but
This player is accounting for over 3 goals responsible for per game. Nuts. Just found that really interesting.
That is insane.
how
Yeah.
did you find this out?
I look at spreadsheets a lot. Cool. And then so question number 3 to wrap up Rob's RSC trivia is what is the highest SPV in RSC among players who have played at least 12 games this season? Who has it and what is it? Hint, it is someone we have mentioned on last podcast.
Is it the Wheelman? 95?
it's probably Wheelman, yeah, and Chally, right? He has a
He
it's
was
like
killing
108.
it, Kelly.
He has like
It
108
is.
SPV.
Yeah, he is at 108.8 right now. Which
He
is
went up.
just,
Holy cow.
which is
at
just
numbers committee sounds a little
Yeah.
tear breaking to me.
Hey,
Yeah,
listen, all I'll say is a few nights ago, I saw that 2 teams had cut him recently because their
Wow.
play styles didn't mesh. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't see how you cut a 108 SPV player due to play style mesh issues. So I don't know what those other teams are doing.
Wait. He has
had
it,
like
and they cut him at 100?
No. So they
No, no,
had
no.
him, but in the
Oh,
at
oh
some
my
point in the
God.
last 2 months, he got
Ooh.
cut from other teams and then got picked up by them.
One
I
thing
would
we
have been like,
talked
dude,
about
whoever that
briefly.
AGM is, fire him. Because like if they cut somebody with 100, I would have said fire him right now.
Well, he
Like,
only had a
It was
19
before he
last
had
season,
100,
didn't he?
but
right. That's why I had
That
to
was-
ask, because that's why I was like,
Yeah.
holy cow, how are they still GL?
So that's basically the 2 takeaways right now are we got 2 players who are in the front runners for potentially quote unquote tier breaking, right? Or just dominating their tier to a different extent than other people. And it seems like Raccoon and Wheelman are the ones doing that this season. So it should be we should keep an eye on those names as weeks progress.
Yeah, and we need to keep an eye on Wheelman too, because last season, like we talked about last week, he had an 8.9 after 18 games. It didn't work with whoever he was with last
His
season.
SPV is up
So-
99.9.
Like,
hey, he
that's-
started doing wrist exercises.
True.
Oh,
Oh my
my
goodness.
God. All right, I'm moving on. All right. Now we're moving on to our final segment here, our rival deep dive. We've got a nice graphic for Rival to show you here, so we can talk about who's got the most goals, most assists, and most saves, and your pole position. Your pole position, like we talked about earlier, the Hammerheads, who are somehow 16-0 through 4 match days. Then you've got Red Steel 43 BR with 25 goals through 4 match days. Three-way tie. We have 3 people. We've got Defiance is God, Red Steel 43 BR, who are both from the Hammerheads franchise, or team, sorry, and Fnatic from the Dalmatians all have 20 assists. Then with the most saves, you've got Riki from the Team Lacuna of the franchise Event Horizon. They have 41 saves through 4 match days.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's so many saves.
But it sounds like to me they are on defense a lot if that's the case.
I mean, you kind of have to be, right? You kind of have to be giving up the midfield a lot to be taking enough shots for 41 saves. But what are they right now? What are they, like 9 and 7?
I believe so.
I think it's like 9 and 7 or like 7 and 9 or something like that. But like you can be rest assured that if Riki didn't have 41 saves, they're probably a fair bit lower.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think I remember looking at that team. Their team, like their leading goal scorer, I think is Riki with only like 10 goals though. So they're
7
playing a
and 9.
lot of defense and not scoring a lot. That is a tough way to win games.
Hey, Riki's a pretty. I played Riki in first round of playoffs last season. He's a pretty good player.
7 and 9. I just wanted to call that out there. I did go double check. But for sure, if Riki doesn't have 41 saves, 10 per match day, 2.5 per game, they're probably not 7 wins in, honestly.
And really, while that Riki stat is fascinating, right? I think we need to really, no pun intended, hammer on the Hammerheads. Right? This team is 16-0.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever. I don't know if I can recall seeing a team start 16-0.
Now,
I'm
who's
sure
their
it's
third
happened.
starter? It's Defiance, Red Steel, and who's their third starter again? I'm forgetting their name.
Lil Panda.
Little Panda. Dude,
Yeah.
Little
And
Panda.
yeah.
If you look at Little Panda has been grinding rank. Little Panda hit GC. They have multiple GC players who've been grinding since the season started. Like Panda, 1350 MMR coming in. And you know, he's been playing a lot of threes, so he's improving pretty quickly since the season started. So he's getting all the way. He peaked at 1448 MMR recently.
Good for him.
So yeah, so
In
they've
threes?
all
In threes?
in threes. They've all been
Ooh.
grinding
That is
together. I guess
definitely
they've all been
impressive.
grinding ranked threes together or something since all of their MMRs have gone up a bit since the season started. So yeah, they have a lot of talent on their
It shows
roster.
in the record because I mean,
Mhm.
4 straight
I do
sweeps
want to
is nuts.
Yeah, so
point out
I
a
think they're
couple
the
bit
best.
of
They're the most talented team for their tier, just across the board with all 3 of their starters. You know, in relation to you know, the rest of the tier skill level.
I do want to put out a few extra bits of information here about this Hammerheads team that I just went and double checked here. So Lil Panda is their 3rd highest scorer with 19 goals.
Mhm.
Red
That
Steel has
is
25. Defiance's God has 20. We both talked about it. Red Steel and Defiance's God both have 20 assists.
Yeah,
I mean, that
Those
is
are the
nuts.
other 2 members of that 2020 club.
Yeah, both Red Steel and Lil Panda, both recently hit GC for the first time. Defiance in 2s and Lil Panda in 3s. So they got
Impressive.
some
I
mechy
want to
players.
point something out though that last year Rival had a team that had a very similar start. They were called, they were the Fangtooths. They started 15-1.
Good call
And
out. Good
that
Tom.
team
Ooh.
ended up barely squeaking into the playoffs. They needed like I think a good record on the last day to just make it in. So yeah, you
do wanna-
start great, right? And all their players started popping off top of the season. They had like 2 of the top 3 SBV guys, IDR guys, all that. It's a long season. So yeah, you start
That
off
was
16-0, but you got to keep your foot down on the gas pedal, or you could find yourself a 7 seed losing in the first round of the playoffs.
that was Touch RL and Ban This One too, right? That was
Yeah.
their main 2
Yes.
guys.
Yeah,
Yes.
there were some complications near the end of the season where
We
yeah,
gotta
we're
get
not
into
yeah,
that. We
we're
gotta get
yeah.
into that, but
It was
Yeah.
in my franchise,
No, but
man. I'm just saying, it was in my wholesome chat. So
dude,
Yeah.
I distinctly remember their fall was abrupt because they were 15-1.
Yes.
They went on stream, I believe, against the like 2nd or 3rd best
Oh,
team
Wolf
in the
Spider. They went
8-rated
against Wolf
Freaks.
Spiders.
Yeah, and they got 3-1 by the Wolf
Yeah.
Spiders.
And
And then
then it
immediately
was
that
downhill
following
after that.
Well, I was going to say that following Wednesday, match day, what is that, 6, they played against a Boss Radala and a Chromium team that 4-0'd them.
Oh my
So they
gosh.
went 1-7 that week.
Yeah,
guys,
now I will say I want to be a bit of a homer here and just bring up the carrots on the garden. I think they have
Mm.
2 players coming back from I think the top seeded team on the bakery last season with Vic and Ricky, and we brought in Bigfoot and Logi. I think they're still figuring out how to play with each other, but that's my homer take. I think they'll be one of the best teams. They're all really good players.
well,
I just
So,
if
want to
we
give a
want to
garden
get some
shout
homer
out.
takes going off, why don't we
well,
just start
let's
up the
hold
MVP
on.
combo?
I was
We
going to
can really
say.
get some homer takes going off.
I personally don't believe it's going to be Red Steel or Defiance's God because I don't know if that team is going to be as good as they are without either of them. I personally think it's Vokes. From Win the Elements, they're 14-2. He's got 20 goals, 16 assists, 20 saves, absolutely killing it. Their next best player is I don't remember being right with them, so they're I'm not calling it like a hard carry, but it's definitely they're balling out for their team right now.
I mean,
Yeah, Wind
piggyback.
was they had a big turnaround. Wind was did not get that many wins last season, so he's
Oh, you're right.
they
Yeah,
were yeah, but they
they
had
had a
some
lot of
roster
roster
changes.
turnover last
They
season.
had an
Oh, I gotta
AGM
pull
move
that up.
down to Chally with Frieder. He's probably killing in Chally. I forget his exact SPV. He's probably doing really well. Yeah, I guess that
Pulling
gave
up
them
team
the
standings.
flexibility to pick up make some changes on Wind, but
Hey,
yeah,
shout
they're
out Tulane
killing it.
making some great changes for Win. They're
Yeah.
killing it this season.
Do you guys want to know how many wins that Wind needs to win to beat their record from last year?
How
They
many?
probably are at it or pretty close.
I would say
They
like
need
maybe
2
10.
wins. They need
Oh,
Wow.
2.
wow.
Wow, they're
They went
killing it.
16-48 last season.
Okay, so Chaluin's the only returning player, so he just picked up some pretty
Let's
cracked
go, Chu.
dudes, and yeah, guess they found a system that works.
They
We
got plenty of
can't.
time to improve on their last season's record.
I don't think we can talk about the rival MVP conversation without my boy Barry Allen. Simply put, the team's 13-3.
And here are the
Um,
homer takes, guys. I
I
told you.
mean, listen, man. Listen, man. He's got the highest SPV of all qualified
Now
players
you're gonna have to give us
at
some
an
pretty strong points to
88.9.
go past your Homer biases,
Oh my
Rob.
gosh. Okay. Let's bring him back, right? So Barry Allen, 13-3 record, right? So it's not that 16-0 or not that 14-2 you're talking about, but it is right there, right? So they're in the same conversation for that number 1 overall seed. He leads the entire tier with an 89.2 SBV, which again, there are some people who are pretty close to it, so it's not just dominating beyond what anyone else is doing, but I think there's a legit argument that these numbers are being backed up, right? You have the highest SBV with a 13-3 record. That is pretty impressive. Not only that, he's a challenger promo. He only had a 75 in that tier, which I find interesting. He's a guy who's played. I knew this guy. I got him into RSC. He is a guy who has been playing with higher ranked players for his entire Rocket League career. I'm talking GC plus since he was Diamond, essentially, right? So this faster pace of play from challenger to rival, where this isn't this massive skill jump. There is definitely a gap, but he is the faster pace of play. I think really lends itself to him, to his speed, and he's been dominating with it since.
Those are
Okay.
some decent points. But Rob, I want to come out with
Mhm.
another idea for MVP.
Yeah.
On Tech Forest franchise, you got
Ooh.
Billy Man Fish. He came in late. He I forget the exact story behind this, so everyone in chat, feel free to call me out and call me, your resident bum if I get this wrong. But I believe he came in late as either a sub or something of the sort. Someone else had to go on IR, I think, and they've been killing it. They're 7-1, pushing up the rankings, and he has an 86 SPV. So just speaking purely from a win percentage and being able to turn a team to the next level, He's doing a great job with them, setting up perfectly. Coming in late, making an immediate impact. That's even before you have replay reviews, meshing with the team. He just came in and, fit right in like a glove.
8 games.
8 games? Yeah. So he's
8 games.
7-1 right now with
I think
11
you can
goals.
win. It's early season, man. Like, it's not like these players have been. Rosters are still being formed. Players are still being traded. This guy was not even starting, right? And so,
Do
what
you,
if he
you want to
finishes
show
playing
me another?
56 out of 64,
Oh, okay,
right?
Rob. With that logic, show me another player that
I'm
came
agreeing
in
with you. No, I'm
subbing.
agreeing with you against
Oh,
Boss right
let's.
now. I'm saying that this player has only missed 8 games, right? So yes,
No,
while it
he
is
didn't miss
essentially
8 games. He
half.
came in 8 games late, I think.
That's what I'm saying. He's
Yeah.
played 8 games less than people, right? But he could still play 56 out of 64 games. And that's plenty to win an MVP for me, right? We're just getting to the season early. If someone's hurt for the first week of any pro season, right, they can still be in the MVP argument. To just get started a little bit slower than other guys. So I think that's a great take, even though he's only played 8 games.
T-Sant, do you have any thoughts? I mean, you're a resident rival player. I mean, you should be our
Oh
local scholar.
no,
You
that
should be our local
smile
scholar who knows
scares me so
who
bad.
knows
All
what's
right,
up.
all right, all right, all
I mean,
right.
come
So
on,
this
you're
will
living
be
in there.
a controversial take, all right?
Dude,
Oh, he's gonna
I've been
homer.
waiting for
He's
this
gonna
all night.
homer himself. I can feel it.
No, I'm not that bad, but they may not be an MVP candidate right now. However, if the team gets the record around, our Ruthless Racket Syndicate rival team, I think
There it is.
Redfire will be one
Dude.
of the top MVP frontrunners.
Should we just rename this the
Oh,
Homer
man.
podcast and
I
see the
Yeah, we
results?
can do that.
Now,
No,
T-Sant,
no, I
let me
want
explain, let
to
me
clarify.
explain.
Hold on,
explain.
hold on. I want to clarify before we get in here. I'm not homering from the franchise because I'm on the same franchise.
Well, I'm homering for this franchise, and I'll explain why, right? Right now, our record's not great. I get that. Right now,
I'm
not
on the
an
edge of my
MVP
seat.
candidate,
What
but
record are we talking? How?
we're 6-10. We're 6-10 so
let's
far.
say- yeah,
6-10.
I know. We're 6-10 so far. It hasn't been the best start to the season, but I mean, we're right there. It's only 4 games below 500. Redfire has been doing everything on the pitch. Fastest player on the pitch. Best mechs on the pitch. Flip reset in every game. Double touches every game to the back of the net. Kid has 70 SPV. He's got, I think it's 1.25 goals per game, but one of the weeks we played a 2v3, the stats were not counted from that week. Redfire had like 7 or 8 goals in a 2v3 over 4 games. So that shoots the goals per game way up. Would have shot his SPV up probably to around, 75, 80. Because he went off that week. But the stats didn't count. My point is, he may not be right now, but if this team gets the record around, and we will, you heard it here first on the pre-jump, I think that will be an easy front runner for MVP. I think he's going to be one of the best goal scorers in Rival by far.
I'll be frank with you, Mr. T-Sant. If you don't turn it around, it's going to look real awkward, and I will talk to you and let you know about it.
Well, I'm giving you a pre-jump guarantee.
Oh, no.
A Charles Barkley guarantee.
That's not happening
Oh,
anymore.
We are turning it around. Redfire will be top 3 in MVP voting this season. You heard it here first.
Dude, if we're talking
The
about Charles
kid is
Barkley,
cracked.
if we're talking about Charles Barkley, we gotta go down to San Antonio. If you're a basketball fan, you know that.
Yeah.
I
got you.
Yeah.
We don't gotta talk about that.
Boz, who are your dark horses?
I've only got one. My dark horse team, this is gonna sound terrible. My dark horse team is the Ruthless Racket, who are currently 6-10.
Oh, I second what this guy's saying. He's spitting right
So
now.
hold on. I don't personally believe that Redfire is currently the MVP or even top 5 in MVP.
I don't either. It is strictly
just
a prediction. It is a prediction he will be at the end of the season.
I'm just gonna point out here.
100% will be. I'm not
You
saying
guys
right
did
now.
lose
I know
3
what the
games.
criteria is. I don't care. I'm going off the
You guys
rails.
did lose 3 games. to a 2v3 because one of your guys had internet issues, I believe.
Yes.
So it is what it is. You lost 3 games there. Realistically, you could potentially be, uh, you know, 9-7 right now, which you have the best team in your division's 8-8. So I mean, you would be the best team in your division if you
That would be
guys
4
maybe
seed.
had a
That's home
player.
court advantage.
I'm just saying, like, for a dark horse team, I don't think you guys are going to become the best team in the league. I don't personally think it's that, but at the same time, though, I think you're really close to being the best team in your division.
Another guarantee, we will be at the end of the season.
My goodness.
Oh,
My
May
personal dark
27,
horse,
10:13 p.m. Write
my
it
dark
down.
horse is the Vikings. They're 8-8 right now, so not too far down there. But they are led by a duo of players named Baldman Streamer and Crack Dragon. They have an SPV of
Yeah,
78 and 60. They are talented. They are good. They just haven't quite put everything together yet. They clearly have the ability and talent to go above 500. If you have 2 players on your team putting up numbers like that, like you can win games, right? That said, unfortunately, they're probably going to have to settle for a wild card spot in playoffs because they're in the same division as my Polaris team.
yeah. I
Boom,
got I
there it
got
is.
three. I got 3-1 by Crack Dragon in Challenger 2 seasons
He's
ago.
good.
He's a good player, and
Mhm.
Baldman is he's a vet demote, and he's posted some clips that I've seen, and yeah, let's just say there's a bit more space to work in Rival than there is in vet,
8-8
and
is they can
he's
go up from there,
yeah,
man.
I think once
oh
they
my
figure it out,
god!
I think they have really good individual skill.
Are you having a problem with that too this season? By the way,
What?
not having any space to breathe, so you can start like an offensive play. Because I'm
No,
not getting any right now in
no,
my
no.
tier.
I'm all good. I mean, the only reason my
Okay.
SPV is not higher is because my teammates aren't giving me the space. It's not my
I
opponent's
don't
fault.
blame myself.
Look,
No.
I'm just saying I'm getting
Irish just
smothered.
lets other teams win. He doesn't want to go out there and drop 5 goals a game and make the other people quit the league. That's bad for
Yeah.
business.
Listen,
That's fair.
guys, all I'm trying to be is inclusive to everyone who's trying to have fun. All right? I'm
Is
just
that
trying to
Beanie? It's gotta be Beanie. The way he's benching himself and his team's having that success.
Oh, no, we don't got to get back into that.
No,
Oh
That's
we
too
my
much.
can't open
gosh.
that can
That
of
Oh
is
worms.
that is
gosh.
an MVP material. That is my new dark horse MVP candidate. But we're not talking about vet right now, but
Boz, do you have did you say your dark horse for rival?
Yeah, I said it was the
his own
Yeah, you
ruthless
team.
did.
dragon.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah.
Really quickly, I'd actually like to take one step back again and talk about the MVP for Rival,
Okay.
because I don't think we touched that much on the who I believe to be the MVP of that Hammerheads team, the one that's 16-0. Defiance is
Okay.
God. Um,
Oh,
have 20 goals, 20 assists, and 29 saves in 16 matches, which is just otherworldly numbers, right? And they
Yes.
are second in SPV and second in goals on their team, which I understand that maybe you could put what's it,
but SPV really
red seal.
favors goals,
It
doesn't it?
does, exactly. And I think that having that being the anchor as well as the midfield guy, right? You have 5 less goals, but you got a double digit more saves, right? Like it's a massive gap. So I feel like that's their midfield role versus first man role. And on teams where you have an abundance of talent, I think the most important cog in making the mechanism work is that one that's in the middle.
But I
I
will
could
say,
see
do you
that.
think having 2 players that are that high up in SPV, that high up in goals scored, are they not going to split the votes? Isn't
They
it
might.
more likely somebody from another team wins than either of those two,
I
despite
don't
them
think
right now being the clear best team?
Yeah, I
Well,
don't necessarily think I'm predicting who's gonna win the MVP. I think I'm saying who I think should get it, right?
Okay.
And like, you're right, right? If at the end of the season those 2 players finish both like top 10 in SPV or top 5 like they are right now, right? Like then I think that vote will be split completely. But I'm saying I think that this player is proving to be the most valuable in the entire tier, and I think that it's hard to the player that makes the 16-0 team function at its highest level is so important, right? That can't be quantified.
Yes.
for sure. I believe I mean, does that kind of wrap everything up? Do we have anything else for Rival here, or are we about to get into our really big announcement?
I think we should just get into
I've
the
got-
announcement. Let the people
me-
know.
I got,
Let
like,
the
one
people
more
know.
point.
RSC's never seen anything bigger. Just saying.
You know, Irish, do you have anything else for our viewers here before we get into our really big
Um,
announcement?
That's
I'd
crazy.
just say, I think our team, the Carrots, are gonna do pretty well.
More homer
With
takes, guys.
Dagum Bigfoot, and then shout out Bigfoot, and then Worm on Draconum. AJ is really good at the game. AJ Beast. And then another thing I'd just like to say, I'm very surprised both Scrubsy and Led have not been picked up from their FA status. This is just a PSA. They're super cracked players. I think you should pick them up as vet FAs. They're both low MMR, ready to make an immediate impact. So
This guy's out here making
that's just my ad.
making advertisements now.
I
Who
think they're
paid you?
both. I think they're
Guy's
both
getting
ready to
paid.
rumble.
Speaking
Yeah,
of, if
but,
we're
but that's
making,
all
we're
I've
putting
got,
a
boss.
shout
Thanks
out
for giving me that. Yeah.
Oh, not a problem, dude. I was gonna say if we're giving a shout out to players like that, I got to give a shout out to a player that unfortunately had to cut not too long ago, Mr. 1999 Toyota Camry. It didn't work out with the Chelly team, but he's a great player. If there's any GMs out there listening, please sign my boy. He is solid. He
He's
is
a
a
funny
good
name.
guy.
Do it.
Solid name, 100%.
Dude,
Gotta
funny
pick him up.
name is so underrated for
100%.
impact on the team.
Agree.
All right, look, boss. Let's
But-
not keep the people waiting anymore.
Ah, man, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about talking about it. This is going to be nuts. So, for a lot of you out there, you know that we do bring into our podcast a guest on the regular. Like, we've hadNcreds, we've had Cali Chromatic, we've had Down to RF, we've had Irish now. Next week
Sadly.
is going to be, sadly, next thing is going to be something. You did great tonight. Don't even. Next week, we're going to have somebody, though, that is kind of insane. We did not really expect this to work out, and it worked out really nicely through communications. That just kind of opened up and happened. Next week's special guest interview will also change kind of how we run this podcast, because we're going to have two segments that are different. We're going to talk to this person about the history of RSC and how it was founded and some of the earlier seasons about it, because we are bringing in Cake, the owner of the RSC Discord server and the OG himself.
I just had a
So-
shiver run down my spine.
So for sure, next week will be a little bit different. We might not be able to go into the entirety of all of the deep dives, because we are going to be doing a little more history based with RSC and some of the earlier seasons. But for sure, next week, be sure to turn in and watch us interview and talk with the main man himself, Cake. Like I said tonight, my name is Boss Radala, though. On the desk are returning hosts and members of the podcast. We've got Rob and T-San. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Irish. You've been fantastic tonight.
Hey, it was a pleasure and a privilege, Boz. Thanks for the opportunity.
Oh,
You're
no problem,
appreciated,
man. Well, it won't be the last time for sure. If you're ever available, we can make something happen.
I assume this would be the last time and I'd be banned from your Discord, but I'm glad it worked out better than my
No,
expectations.
This went great. This went great.
It would not be the first arc.
I do want to give also a big shout out as we wrap up our stream here to our producer on the back end, the man, the myth, the legend, Hanan Grenade himself. Hanan, as a lot of you know, started out with a caster with us and then has really just been getting knee deep into building everything you see for this overlay and everything that goes into it. So real big shout out to him and everything he's done.
You did an awesome job.
I also want to give a shout out to our newest, the People's Champ. We now have a backup producer in Avex Inceptions. He will be just kind of there in case anything goes sideways. He's been helping out. He recently helped find us the gifts that we use for behind each of the boxes, like the season standings, the exclusive A, the title card, which has our twinkly lights. So he's been helping out real good to get us started. But this so far has been week 6 of the Pre-Jump podcast, your quarterly report. Like I said, my name is Boss. We got Rob, T, Sant, and Irish. Y'all have a good night.
Peace and love, everyone.
'cause I know I'm yours. All you want is to see me down and begging on the floor. Don't stop moving 'cause I like it. You choose me just right. I never backing down, never knowing when to stop. I want to know back on you. 'Cause your love's the only one I know. Just one more chance is all I need. I'll lift you up and set you free. I will take you. Don't know if I'm really gonna make it, but I tried. I don't know if you really feel like I do. Losing my objective slowly out of sight. Just tell me how to make it right.